This is what I refer to as the center of your circle.
Okay.
And the things I talk to you about from the center are things that might have recently happened, things that are happening now, things that are about to happen. At this point, I caution everybody about my time frames. They can be really screwy-looey, okay? Like, for example, things can happen sooner than I predict. Sometimes it takes a lot longer. So just keep that in mind, like if you're listening to the tape and that, keep that in mind.
Okay.
Now, whatever you had your mind focused on is looking pretty darn good. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm sure I'll hit on it, as if not now, somewhere as we go along. So it's looking good. What I'm seeing here, I'm sure has to do with a job, your career, a job. There seems to be a couple of little question marks here. So you may be thinking about some changes, or something may present itself to you regarding your job. You're not in school, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pretend that I get a job.
Okay. Well, see, the job issue seems to be the big thing right now. These question marks about a job, but I think you're doing more worrying than is necessary, because there are a couple of bright points here where I'm sure that something will be offered you, but it's not really clear in this area, so I'm going to wait as I go along. I'll tell you more about that.
Okay.
And your sister, by the way, you seem to be pretty close, which might be a little unusual. Sisters, you know what siblings are like, eh? But you two seem to be pretty close, and at least there's sort of well wishes between both of you, hoping that you both do well. So that's kind of nice to see there. Well, I don't know who this young man is, but for example, if you're seeing a young man that would be maybe in his 20s, early 20s, mid-20s, there's an awful lot of trouble around this young man. So I'm sort of hoping that this isn't someone that's in your life, but you never know. Anyway, he's a very troubled lad. There is trouble showing. These are usually men in uniform that are kind of hovering around him, maybe keeping an eye on him for something or other. But it's bad news. Like, whatever is happening in this kid's life, it's kind of bad news. So if that's not anybody that you can associate with right now, or kind of wonder who it might be, that's something that you will hear about, or you'll know about before too long. And it doesn't look too good for him, We'll see as we go along. Now, there's also a young man here that's a bit on the fair side. Sandy colored hair, dishwater color hair. These guys are usually, they go from one extreme to the other, but usually they're quite muscular. They're nice bodies. And he would be, I would say, in his mid-20s, about 25, maybe 26, somewhere in there. This guy was, and I would say still is, interested in you. But you don't seem to be too interested in him, because he's way off over here, you're here, he's way off over there. But he does think about you quite a bit. And so I think there's still some communication going on between the two of you. Not a bad guy. He's going to go on to do quite well. There's one stumbling block here for him regarding work or financial matters, but he's a pretty neat guy, and he's going to do okay. This is what interests me here. Holy Toledo. Now, this man would be around 40. Okay, maybe a little bit older, a little younger, older, not by much. He's, again, a little bit on the fair side. Sandy colored hair, dishwater colored hair. Sometimes could be a titch of gray. But if he's gray, he's not an old man. That by far, he just might have some gray hair. This, I would swear to God, this is the man that wants to marry you. But he's older. He's older than you are. Would you mind telling me how old you are?
22.
Oh yeah, see, this guy would be late 30s, early 40s. Anyway, no kidding, it's like if you don't know who I'm talking about, you're gonna know, because this guy's gonna really pursue you. And he's like twice your age, and that could turn you off just as the age factor. However, he's single, he has lots of money, and he's really going to pursue you. So you've got something very interesting happening over here. Probably looking at me and going, yeah, right, but there will be somebody older. And sometimes they're not quite as old as I present them to be, but they can be very mature. That's why they appear older. Alrighty, okay, visitors coming from a distance. These people are all sort of your coloring. Looks like they're coming from another country, crossing over borders, coming from another country. There is one young man here. He's dark in appearance. He's like your color. Olive skin, dark eyes, dark hair. What a sweetheart he is. But he seems to be geographically away from you. There seems to be some sort of geographical movement that is required in order for you guys to be together. Very nice young man. And there's somebody else coming in from a distance to visit. It's like there'll be almost like a group of people come in. You're going to have a great time. Great time. Again, you've cut where there's a young man who's going to be in a lot of trouble. Maybe already is in trouble. These things can be indicative of, kids, young men. They could be associating with the wrong kind of people. Just out of, not because he's a bad person, but just out of this association with the wrong people, he might do something that sort of reflects back on him, which isn't a very good thing. So if you don't know, you're definitely going to hear something about this young guy here. Okay, first off, there's a trip showing here for you. So we have two things happening here. People will be coming in to visit you from a distance, and this appears to be like from other countries, crossing over borders, and you going back and forth, which is quite pleasant, and you also going somewhere in travel, which is going to work out well. Now here's your first job that I see right here. However, it may start out part-time, but it's not a bad job, like the pay for a part-time job won't be too bad. So if you get your foot in the door here, then down below we have a steady job showing. So I don't think you're going to have any major problems as far as work goes. Just don't get discouraged with a part-time job, because that will either take you into full-time in that particular place, or it will lead you to a job which is full-time, which is looking good. Yes, I think you know this young lad that I keep seeing that's in trouble. I think you know him, or you certainly you'll know of him. He might even be somebody that you know from your past. But I'm going to say again, basically, I don't think he's a really, some people are just, some people have a lot of bad in them, and I don't think this guy is really bad. He just seems to have gotten involved with the wrong kind of people here. So it could be anything from alcohol to drugs to theft to, just anything that's a little illegal. But he's going to be okay. Eventually he'll work his way through that. What am I going to tell you? You're right. The description of the man, I think the reason I got that description is because I would put your parents on dark in appearance, your parents. So that would be the next card to the dark card, would be that one. But you definitely have an older man that's very interested in you. And I'm certainly not suggesting that you should go for a guy like this or marry him. But the one thing I can tell you, if you did, you'd never want for anything again. This guy's got money, he's got, there would be a lot of traveling involved and all sorts of things. In other words, he would just give you anything and everything.